All right, guys, I have an update for you today that well, I guess this would be my second update today, but yeah, so basically, I wanted to show you some interesting details as we've been tracking this uh, prophetic dream that I had, and of course, we're seeing the events unfolding. It's been very interesting to say the least. So that being said, I wanted to jump on here and give you some of those details. One of the things that I do want to point out is the fact that nobody saw a lot of this coming, guys. Nobody saw a lot of this coming. I mean, with Gary Gensler, the number one public enemy of Ripple, announcing today that he's basically stepping down. This is big time. This is a really big deal. Nobody saw any of this stuff coming. And it just seemed like everything was causing the market to go the opposite direction, right? It just continued to demonstrate that this was wrong, that it was the Chinese food I had for dinner that night. Just fill in the blank, right? Any number of accusations or judgments could have come about because of what the market was showing. But I have continued to be relentless in updating my community with the information on, number one, how to, track a prophetic word, how to not give up on it just because it doesn't seem to fit, your original belief system of what the way you thought it was going to unfold. And so when the events begin to, really almost reveal an opposite direction, from what we would expect to happen, well, it could be, it is challenged. I did send out an email today, and I quoted the scripture in the book of Matthew. Oh, I can't remember what verse it was, but it was basically in the parable of the sower explained, where it talks about how those who receive the word with gladness, but then because of, trials and persecutions that come because of the word, immediately they drop it and let it go. And so that's the whole deal. When trials come, what are trials? Well, they're, the opposition of what the word or the promise is. So I wanted to share something with you today, guys, that I found very interesting, because remember in my earlier video today, if you were watching that one, I know it can be hard for some people to keep up with the content because my videos can be an hour long. And then, of course, people work or what have you. And so I get it. So you may or may not have seen that earlier broadcast, but the good news is XRP hit 85 cents today. And it was then that somebody brought up on my live, and I have to honor that person, because the scripture says that only the pure in heart will see God, right? And it's like, and it's those, and that's what I tried. That's what I mentioned on my last video, is that it's the heart issues that will cause people to miss God and, to give up when the market seems to be going the opposite direction of what the promise was, of what the word was, and, via the dream. And so that's why I've continued to trek this, because I know better. I know better as a minister, as one who has learned how to navigate the prophetic, because, well, first of all, you have to be around it in order to understand it, because those who are not around it can make up all sorts of conclusions as to what is or isn't truth when they have little to no experience with it. And that's why it's important to be around it, number one. And so because I've been around it, and not even just in my own life, but because we host ministers that operate in the prophetic, and we've been exposed to the prophetic. We understand that this is how you track the prophetic. And so on this journey, we've learned a lot. But here's what I wanted to point out. Somebody brought up on the broadcast today that it's actually been a week to a week and a half since the election, which has caused the skyrocketing in crypto price. And I thought to myself, that is pretty cool. Because if you remember in my original post, I talked about my dream mentioning a week to a week and a half period. My original interpretation was a week to a week and a half from the day I had the dream. That came and went. And so I was like, okay, it's not that. Well, what is it? And then I came to the conclusion that it may have to do with a week to a week and a half period of when it takes off. So here's the interesting thing. I'm like, wow, it's been a week to a week and a half. Tomorrow is the conclusion of a week and a half. And so I thought to myself, this would be interesting because today, I gotta point this out. Let me pull it up for the sake of. Give me 1 second, guys. This is going to be pretty interesting. So today, I know this is a different one than I show you guys because I have multiple screens open, but today it hit, well, I thought it hit 85 cents, but it's just under 84.63. I think it did. I don't know. Let me look on this one. Let me look on this one. $84.73. Okay, very, very close to 85 cents. Now let me pull up the that's the wrong one. This is the right one. This is very interesting, guys. You guys remember my dream about 92 cents? So this one is very interesting because I wanted to show you something. As I was looking at resistance levels, and this actually came up once before, but I wanted to show you guys in a manner in which really we've never seen before. So this is the line of resistance right here. It touched this line of resistance in March of 2022, right here at this candle peak right here, and then dropped back down. And then it touched it again back in July of last year. And so this is the 93 cent resistance line. Where are we at right now? Look at this. We're approaching it. And I thought to myself, that's really, really interesting that my dream, now this, remember, I had the dream before I even understood resistance levels. Because if you remember, I actually started learning this stuff because of my XRP dream. And I took the crypto trading course and all these different things. Obviously, that's mentioned in the description section if you're interested in looking at that. But look at this, guys. Watch this. Boom. It hit that 93 cent resistance. Boom, and hit that 93 cent resistance. What does this mean? It means that that's the next point of resistance from where we're at. There is no other point of resistance between then and now. 93 cents is our next level of resistance, which is very interesting because normally the resistance level means that it's going to come up to that point and it's going to be tested. And it's either going to break through or it's going to drop back down. And I thought to myself, I wonder. Now, first of all, the interesting thing is this. between a week to a week and a half was in my dream. And so the gentleman pointed out today that tomorrow is the end of a week to a week and a half. I'm sorry, it's the end of a week and a half from election day, which is very interesting because let me see here. If we actually go back, let me share this again, just because I want to. So if we go back, let's go to the 1 hour chart. This is November 5th. This is where it started going up. Okay, right here. You could see it was very much, sideways. And then it began on November 5th, began to climb. However, I guess you could say it was 4 days after it began to climb, where it kind of busted out of its sideways moment. But I guess about the 11th is when it really began to kind of take off. And so the 11th would be 6 days after election. And you've seen it take off in about a week to a week and a half. So that's really interesting that we're seeing this right now. And so my question is, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is the end of this week to a week and a half. And from the day of the election. And so this is really, really interesting. If it hits 92 cents by tomorrow night, then that would be an incredible fulfillment of the dream, because remember, the dream said it would take off in a week to a week and a half, which we can see from the date of the election. It took off in a week to a week and a half after the election. Really crazy stuff. But if it hits 92 cents by tomorrow, that's going to be something else. Doesn't mean that that's the end all be all, because my other hypothesis or my other theory is that watch for 92 cents, because 92 cents might be the part where if it goes up from 92 cents, that's going to be the point of breakout, where it crosses 93 cents, which is the heavy resistance level. And I want to bring up another point. This is really, really interesting. Because if it crosses the 93 cent resistance level, now for those of you guys who are watching, I want to point out it is dropping. Let me. It's at 79 cents. And what's interesting is that the trader, the crypto trader that's doing the Bitcoin deal, you guys may or may not know about that. He trades Bitcoin against altcoin pairs. And so we've been able to kind of plug in through into his trading strategy to where, he's generating profits on our Bitcoin. And this is going to be very profitable. But however, watch this. It's dropped down since it hit the 85 cent mark today, which is natural, because when it hits a point of resistance, it'll come back down. And then it tries to come back up, as you can see, which it has done since it dropped back down after the resistance. All right. However, he says that it could even drop down lower, which is fine. He says it's actually healthy for it to do that. Now, and you can see that it's actually done that numerous times as it's hit different resistance levels. Okay, watch this though. The crazy part is that the other resistance level after the 93 cent resistance, which is what our next stop is going to be, or our next testing point, is the $1.33 or $1.35 resistance level. And I got that by pulling up this data here. You could see it hit this candle here. It pushed through, but came back down pretty quickly right here. And then it hit it right here and knocked it back down. So you want to try to gather, a few of these to get your data, but that's another resistance level. And so, which is really crazy, because if it breaks through 93 cents, I guess the theory is that it should really climb pretty consistently, pretty freely. And that's kind of what we're seeing here as it broke through the 93 cent resistance level here. It went up all the way to the top. And then when it broke through here, it went all the way to the top. So keep that in mind, that, and then when it broke through here, it even went above it. So this is really interesting, but I just found it was very odd that my dream was 92 cents, which is 1 penny next to our next line of resistance. And so I'm just really, really wondering now what's going to happen at that 92 cent mark, because once again, if it hits 92 cents by tomorrow, that could be pretty neat, because that would fall in line with what was in my dream. If it doesn't, then we're still going to be wondering what that 92 cent mark is. And then I would be very interested to see what happens when it hits that. All right. That's all I wanted to share, guys. But just watch XRP at 92 cents. This is going to be a short one. Appreciate you being on. Take care. God bless.